Katie LaFalcia. Welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Welcome to Nate at the Third Wish. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Current events. I've been growing in my garden.
Beautiful flowers you have.
Thank you. This one is called a butterfly plant. It attracts butterflies. This is hydrangeas, lavender. I have a lot of lavender, roses. And I've lived in my house a really long time. And the benefit of that is that plants really do have the opportunity. I'm trying to get this out of the way so I don't knock it over. They have the opportunity to mature, So 25 years ago, I planted rose bushes. And they're actually starting to get old and tired. They're not doing as well as they did maybe 5 years ago. But like I told you, I belong to the Darwinian school of gardening. If it survives, good for it. That's it. All right, Nate. Oh my God, current events.
So what do you have on the menu?
Well, the first one I have is actually not one particular event. It's a question that has been rolling around in my head for a long time now. And I finally just had enough. And I thought we should ask a larger question. So let me explain. You'll recognize this list of things that irritate me. Astrology, recent events in astrology. Soccer, recent events in soccer. Singers, aging singers and younger singers and their ridiculousness. TV stars. YouTube influencers, internet influencers, things like TikTok challenge deaths. How much cinnamon can you choke yourself on? Have you seen those things?
No.
You don't know? I think I've read about them. I haven't actually seen them, but there was a string of challenges for kids, basically. Do this. Everybody's doing it. One of them was
Oh.
Yeah. The other one was consuming dry cinnamon, like a whole bunch of it all at one time, which to me, that just seems insanity.
I really don't like cinnamon.
Oh, really? Oh,
no.
Well, it has its place, but not 2 cups of it dry in your craw.
Oh my God.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. We idolize sports figures. We idolize worship, musical figures and stars, people who make a lot of money, people who establish physical standards for people, like you should all look like us, that kind of thing. People who do remarkable things, making money, like in business, and and what are we looking for? Why do we idolize them? So this is my question. Why do we idolize these people who really in their personal lives, they're a mess most of the time? And we revere them. The richer they are, the more we hold them up, because look how successful they are. If you're rich, you must be smart. If you're rich, you must be good. And we buy the narratives that they give us, like, oh, well, I'm into philanthropy. I give money away. Sam Bankman, you know who he is? Okay. He was interviewed for something, Vox journalists. Right? And he said, look, billionaire philanthropy, it's PR. It's creating a reputation. Nobody gives away enough money to hurt. They do it for how it makes them look. Philanthropy, it's performative.
Not all of them.
We could argue this till the cows come home. Let me give you an example. Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation and all the money that he's given away. And he has announced that he is going to give away everything
Yes,
before he dies.
100%.
Right. But I looked into it, and he is giving it away in increments in such a way that if he lives to be 140, when he dies, he will still have over $1 billion just because the money makes money, right? And so, how's that going to affect his daily life? It's not.
Yeah, but the other alternative could be that actually he would have kept all this money and
Right.
give to his friends and to private.
Right.
So we have to recognize, yeah, it may not be perfect, but there's an effort.
How much of an effort is it really?
Well, as long as he's giving something away, that's an effort.
Okay,
We can debate whether it's too little or not, but it is an effort.
He's giving almost all of it away, but he's going to retain enough to maintain his lifestyle, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous lifestyle. So he's not feeling any pain, but he's getting the benefit of this reputation as this great guy. That's all I'm saying. There's a willingness to believe the narrative that they put forward that describes how great they are, how generous they are, how wonderful they are. But are they really? Is that really true?
Well, there's also people that have been accused of not giving back. And what appeared, they had to defend themselves. And I don't have names, but I've seen this multiple.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And they said, well, actually, I never made this public, but this is all I'm giving away. This is actually, I'm doing this and doing this and doing this. I've done all of this in the quiet. And so the people that are doing the right thing, you never hear about it because they're very private and discreet and they don't need to advertise. But you think that they're not doing anything. They might actually, but they just don't advertise.
And I know that that's true. And I know that there are wealthy people who give a lot of money. I'm not disagreeing with that. My real question is, why do we revere the wealthy because they're wealthy? Why do we idolize people who perform on a stage? They're not any better than anybody else, you know? And oftentimes they do harm. They glamorize self-destructive lifestyles. They put forward physical images that are not realistic for normal people. There's a lot of like money being spent on plastic surgery and medications and cosmetics to maintain a fake image. And my larger question, and we revere and way overpay, in my opinion, athletes. So what? You can
Well,
think
that
about
I disagree too, because athletes are overpaid, but they, depending on which sport, they can't really be an athlete past 30 years old, 35 years old. So it's a very short career.
So let me give you the other side of that coin. You're not a skilled person and you have managed to survive your entire working life as a clerk, like a retail clerk, not making very much money. And that is going to come to an end. You're going to get too old for that.
Of course.
So why aren't we giving them more money? Because their earning capacity is going to diminish with time. Why don't we give them more money?
I am not against giving people more money. I just not really seeing that by cutting the pay of an athlete, it's going to give more money to the clerk. I'm not seeing the relationship there.
Oh, I'm not saying that there's necessarily a relationship. I'm just saying, why do we honor the athlete and hold their performance as worthy of more money than we
But who
do
is we? Who is we? Because
whoever's
not
giving them
every,
the money. I mean, people spent $10,000 a ticket for that soccer thing.
yeah.
Okay, I have strong opinions about the immorality of that. That's insanity. If you have $10,000 to watch somebody kick a ball around a grass, why don't you go help the people that are sitting on the sidewalk with nowhere to live?
So a couple answer to that. One is that,
I'm not blaming you.
yeah, no, I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing that. But maybe first answer is maybe they are also helping others. Maybe they are.
Then why are there still people living on the sidewalk?
They're just
Until
not en-
nobody is
they're
homeless.
just not enough of them. Yes, they're just not enough of them.
Yeah, that's right. And I think our priorities are all fouled up. Here's an example that doesn't involve money. Money is such a sensitive topic. People get very defensive about their heroes who have money and their philanthropy and how much good they do. And we have bought into being willing to accept that some people just deserve a better life because they've got money. And I really strongly disagree with that. But let's talk about something economically neutral. Let's talk about astrology. People are, and I just to start the conversation, I totally believe that astrology is valid. I absolutely believe it. I'm not denying that at all. But here's the thing, as with all these other subjects that really bothers me. We obsess. What is that?
3-eye atlas.
Yes. I always want to say 3AI. The 3-eye atlas. People obsessed about that for the longest time. Now, I don't disagree that it whatever it is has some sort of effect. I absolutely agree with that. But are we really supposed to spend all of our time obsessing about that? Or are we supposed to take our lives as they are, however they're affected, whatever they're affected with, and act on it? Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but how does that topic connect with the previous one?
Well, all of those things are distractions that keep us away from asking the important question. The question is not, what are the stars doing? The question is not, what are the movie stars doing? What are the soccer players doing? How are the big people with big money spending their big money? Look at that yacht. Look at, none of those things should be our focus. But that's all they are. They're a constant distraction. There are much broader questions, a much larger context that we need to be looking at. We're looking externally for answers, for distraction, for entertainment, for guidance, when we're supposed to be looking internally. Does that make sense? That's how I relate all these subjects. They're not really related, but they're all distracting us. They're
I would
all
I would say that I think there's a time for being introspective. There's also a time to be social. There's also a time
sure.
to have fun. There's also a time to go to a music festival. There's also a time. I feel like all those things to me are legit.
I agree with you. And I don't think that they're mutually exclusive.
No.
But the balance is out of whack.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, that I would agree that
Yeah.
we cannot just go to soccer. I don't go, but it cannot just go to soccer games or food sports or
Don't worry.
music or we need a balance in what we do. And maybe if I understand you right, you're saying there also should be a place for introspective thinking and education and intellectual studies. And where is that?
Yeah, we've given all these things, and I might not have done the best job of explaining what I'm trying to say, but all these distractions, all these things that are inherently meaningless. It doesn't matter who kicks a ball into a net. It doesn't matter how well you can
Well,
sing a song. No, in the larger reason for us being here, it doesn't matter, because the purpose of us being here is to recognize that we are not physical beings. And all of this is just experience, but it's not our purpose and it's not the important thing.
I would say that there are connections, though. So, for example, forget the World Cup, but let's just take soccer or football.
Please, please, can we
Yeah,
forget the World Cup? Okay.
yeah. Well, I agree that for someone to play football or soccer, you learn values. You learn and you're questioning your own values, the teamwork, the respect, understanding rules, understanding boundaries, creating a mindset of courage, of resilience. So much could be learned through sports.
What, sitting on your couch eating guacamole and watching them on the television?
Well, more if you actually are in the team or the sport yourself. But even if you watch, it teaches you some lessons. If you're watching a singer sing, you also could pay attention to the lyrics and learn something.
Yes, and I don't disagree with any of that. I'm not saying these have absolutely no value. What I'm saying is they've been given outsized importance. And our whole entire sense of our reality is directed at that and focused on that. It's all about that. And it's largely about monetizing it, but it's also about distracting people. And we're wasting our opportunities here. I think the pandemic is a perfect example for all the horrible things that happened. No denying. There was an opportunity of time, and the noise was stilled, right? Uh, we could have accomplished so much
Agreed.
individually. I think it's fair to say that didn't happen for most people.
Well, and a lot of people report back to the pandemic as the worst times of their lives.
Yeah.
And some of obviously people that have not been able to make a living or being, I imagine, a nurse. I'm not talking about
No, it's not.
people
It's not
that
about people who've lost.
sacrifice
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
but
Not
the
that.
people that there's a group of people, in my view, that had an opportunity to either spend more time with themselves because they could work from home, or some people, depending on where in the world, were actually continuing to be paid without working. There's a
Yeah.
group of people, um, or generally speaking, were given maybe no money but time, and they refer back to the worst time of their lives because there was that missed opportunity, that they didn't use this opportunity to create, to study, to learn. And so they feel that because they couldn't go do this or do
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
then they have, and actually it ended up being true, was a waste of time. Especially the young people say, I wasted 2 years of my youth. And I'm having a hard time sometimes to understand that you wasted 2 years, but I don't think it is a waste if you don't want it to be a waste.
Well, I think this is a perfect example. You're illustrating my argument perfectly, perfectly. And it's because people don't know how to turn to themselves for their use of their time. They have no personal inner resources. I heard so many people, and now we're not dismissing the deaths and the lingering illnesses, and we're not dismissing the economic impact. This is a
Challenges.
separate
Yes,
argument. So
yes.
we're not dismissing any of that. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful, so stressful, even in the best, so stressful. But here we were handed time where you didn't have a choice. You could not go eat out or go to a movie or go to a gathering. You couldn't do that. So you had to look towards yourself, your own resources of how you were going to spend your time. And that's when I got my hair cut. I got so angry with friends of mine who were smart people, but they're complaining, oh, my roots. I wish I'm so upset that when can I go get my hair done? And I said, roots? You want to see roots? I'll show you roots. Because it seemed such an unimportant thing to be upset about, and it seemed so
You're
unimportant
asking
to
me?
well, no, but you know what I'm saying, right?
No,
Oh,
I'm joking.
stop
I'm
it.
joking.
Yeah,
I'm
you know what
joking.
I'm saying, right?
Well,
And
yeah, but I cannot understand that. Well, that's the discussion. It it also ties to how you feel about yourself and your self-worth.
I think a lot of the people that the groups of people, the classes in the sense of subject area classes of people I mentioned, actors, singers, they perpetuate placing value in the externals to the
Yes.
detriment of the larger issues or larger purpose. And I just, I don't know how to express this well. I just feel like our priorities are in the wrong place, and we're wasting opportunities. And I, include myself in this. We're wasting opportunities all the time because we focus too much on things that really should not be given the value that they are given. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like
It
what kind of
reminded me.
car you drive, for example.
It reminded me of celebrities during the pandemic, and they were in their mansion, in their swimming pool, and they were doing a message for their followers. And a lot of those messages, be strong, we're all in this together. But they were in there. So that was criticized because the message was, we're all in this together. But obviously, are we?
Yeah, if you're living in a one-bedroom apartment in a high rise in the heart of the city, and you have to go to work to make your minimum wage job and risk your life every day because you can't get the time off, and your family is crowded close together trying not to infect each other, are we really in this together? I don't really think our
What
experience
happened?
is the same.
Yeah, what happened to the essential workers that were given special permissions to work because they were essentials, but then they were not given raises or increments or bonuses
Or
because,
masks. Not even masks. No, I know.
yes, out of trash bags. And that feels very wrong to me because as soon as the pandemic, well, I thought they were essentials.
Yeah, yeah. But that's one good example. My larger argument is we spend a lot of time giving value to things that are truly of no real value. And I hold myself accountable too. I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I think about these things. I worry about these things that time goes by and we're all very attached to ego, attached to things of the material world, whatever they may be. Those subjects I gave you, those are easy targets. But we're so attached to our material concerns. We get all caught up in it. And yet, okay, I'm going to personalize this. Yet, if I do a video on philosophy talking about how to deal with issues like that, nobody cares. I just find that
Well,
really frustrating.
I wouldn't go that. I wouldn't say that technically it's not that no one cares. The fact is that you would see much lower views, which means I don't think it means that people don't care, but their attention was drawn to something else that took priority.
Okay, let me give you a specific example.
It's true.
So let's say I do a video on Buddhism. That's random. I've done those sorts of videos. And then I do a video on that people asked me to do on Harry and Meghan. Which one do you think people paid attention to?
Of course, the Harry and Meghan.
That I rest my case. We are so distracted by things that don't matter. We seek them out. And we're not giving the
Okay.
attention to what
But-
really matters.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah, well, that comes naturally. Go ahead.
Let's imagine that I'm going to a job every day and it's a hard job. You know, I have my hands full, stress, maybe even hard work, hard labor,
Physical, yeah.
or mental, right? I have to deal with family stuff and it's like by the time I'm done, let's assume I have children.
Oh, God.
And then 10 o'clock at night comes. I'm finally on the couch to relax. I'm not sure I want to watch Buddhism.
Well, you know that what the argument to that is, the argument to that is we are in a society that intentionally takes our attention, intentionally drains us. Of
Yes,
the-
you see what I mean? No offense to Buddhism or your video, but
No,
it's
no,
just
that's just a
I'm
stupid
trying to
example.
I'm just yeah, you understand. The issue is people are drained and they might need something to escape the world, and Buddhism might be a way to escape this world, but it is not an easy quick plug and play. And I might decide that I'm gonna watch Harry and Meghan because the chances that will make me smile or laugh are higher.
We're kind of trapped in a construct, a society that ensures that we don't have the time or the energy
Well,
to
yeah.
pursue anything. That distresses me too. You know, I wonder, will we ever get to a place where basic needs are met without exhaustion?
Working
we,
like a dog.
Yeah.
If we were working 3 days a week or 4 days a week, I could see the argument that on the fourth day, I would like to be trained on Buddhism, and my mind would be more clear to actually say, I'm going to use my fourth day to learn something. That I
right,
can
or
see
even,
the
you know,
argument.
learn and play a musical instrument or something.
Or
People
learn
used
a
to do-
different language.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But see, we had that opportunity. It was handed to us on a silver platter. And no, people didn't take advantage of it.
What was the opportunity?
The pandemic.
Oh. Well, actually, we would have to look back, but people learned new hobbies. How many people made their own bread?
See this macrame thing? My daughter taught herself how to do macrame, and she ended up working with a company that they approached her. She's not a business person, but they approached her because she was showing it to her friends on the internet, and they saw it, and they traded her. We will send you all of the material, the yarn, if you let us show the finished product in our ads.
Wow.
But you said bread. She also learned how to make bread, and her bread it's beautiful. It's like a work of art. Just beautiful. So I feel like she really used her time
Yeah.
well, but not everybody did. I mean, that's one example, but that's what I mean. You could be creative and you could be practical. You could learn something practical, or you could sit around and complain about how it was awful that you couldn't go out to eat, which is what I heard more.
One of the things that I've done, and everyone participates at their own level, but it was tragic for artists, singers that are not at the level that you talked about. I'm talking about people that play in bars or,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it was people that paint in galleries and things like that. So usually they had via Zoom like an at-home concert, and then you connect with the Zoom. So I was watching that and donating, like if I
Mm-hmm.
was going to a concert,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to
it was really
support them,
interesting.
to support them.
I saw a couple of videos of many, 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 many people all around the world singing the same song
Oh yeah,
together. Yeah, yeah, it was cool. Yeah. But they were doing that. They weren't sitting around complaining that they couldn't go to their favorite bar. They could, you know what I mean? They did
yeah,
something creative with it.
yeah. Well, and I mean, out of all people, you launched your YouTube channel during the pandemic, didn't you?
Um, my first day was January 6th. Inadvertently. And
Yeah,
I had no idea. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people did. A lot of people took that opportunity,
yeah.
and I think that's wonderful that people connected that way. That's wonderful, but I think it's the minority. I really do, because I hear it all the time. Oh, thank God, now we're back to our normal life. Is that such a good thing? I don't know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
the impact on pollutions,
Yeah. How much cleaner the air was, and
I
you know.
hear also people that are saying like, I wish I would be back to pandemic days, from the point, obviously not for the pandemic, but for the ability to rest and
Yep.
have more of an introspective life. Some people said it was quiet. You hear that too?
I was walking every day, and it was a huge difference from normal because there was no traffic. It was like the day the earth stood still. And you could go outside as long as you stayed away from people, right? Well, there was nobody to stay away from. And I'd go all the way where I usually walked and all the way back, and I'd never see a person. It was wonderful. It was really great. But I guess the question is, why do we seek our role models and our values from these external things? Why do we not? Why are we not more introspective? Why do we not look inward? Uh, we allow ourselves to be distracted.
Well, I feel like it has to deal with shadow work. We don't want to do the shadow work. It's painful.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's probably part of it. Yeah. Well, we're going to read cards.
Yeah.
See what the
I
cards
mean,
have to say.
it is a very popular topic, shadow. So that's a paradox. Everything these days is about shadow work.
Yeah, but everybody else's shadows are worse than your own. Okay, what have I got here?
So what is the question?
Why? Why do we focus so much on externals when really we're supposed to be introspective? We're supposed to be recognize gnosis. Our goal is gnosis. Our goal is the understanding that we are not our physical bodies, and we don't seem to be able to get past step one. Okay, well, go ahead.
First card is the Nine of Coins. We are in a capitalistic society, and we need to keep moving. Two of Swords, Two of Coins. I think those are part of the same situation. We're tied. Maybe it's not that we don't want to, but we have obligations back and forth, back and forth. The last card I thought was very interesting. The Judgment, which is communication. I think social media has really made things extremely complicated, to the point that everyone is an external influencer. Your daughter, your aunt, your uncle, anyone who's on Facebook is an influencer. So we are more influenced than we were, because everyone, I mean, like, if you are on a social media platform, people say, oh, look what I'm doing. Look where I'm going. Look how happy I am. Look this, look this, look this. It's constant. So there's this constant stimulus that not only is those celebrities, but your aunt is a form, if she's on Facebook, she's a form of celebrity.
We're fine ones to talk.
Well, yeah.
Hello.
But you see what I mean? Like, social media has made everyone the star of your own movie.
It's funny you say that, because I'll tell you, my relationship with it is more, it has broadened the conversation. For me, it's just like having a conversation with one person, but now other people are involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't expect to change anybody's mind. I've given up hope on that entirely. I just don't think that people want to hear anything that's not upbeat, reassuring, positive, whether it's true or not. Don't want to. It's hard to face the fact that our reality is not real, and that we aren't who we think we are, and what we are is ephemeral and difficult to understand, and requires time and introspection, and nobody wants to hear that. I mean, I struggle with it myself. It's difficult, but it's also really, really important. It's our purpose. I know you agree with me.
Well, I feel the stretch too. I personally feel the stretch of the constant stimulation. Every day there's people sending me, watch this, watch that, watch this, watch that. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? It's overwhelming.
Well, I have a solution to that. I don't look at my emails and my texts. I kind of don't connect to them. In fact, I just discovered some important emails that I missed, because as they come in, things lower down and you don't see them. I forget to scroll and look. I think younger people have more of a emotional connection to all of that, and they're less likely to miss things. There's no way in the world that you can consume all the information that's out there. It's impossible. So you have to be picky.
No.
You have to pick and choose what you're going to consume.
Well, that's the biggest challenge. If you have an hour in front of you, what are you going to watch?
Is that all your cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me show you what I got. I got these two cards together, and I think this is the juxtaposition of what we're struggling with. I got the King of Cups reversed, and I got the Emperor. We're torn between introspection, emotion, the real purpose of our lives is to love one another, right? But that's being put by the wayside by the realities of the material world. What is more real than power and strength and, the arm of the law, all of that? And so what do we get? Death. And I think this is the need for a paradigm shift, a need for changing our focus, changing our perspective. And where should we be going? I got the Three of Coins, the Three of Pentacles. We should be learning how to live with one another. We should be learning how to cooperate and care for one another for the benefit of each of us. We've completely lost sight of that. I feel like I should probably buy myself a pulpit. Okay, let's move on to something that's closer to home. Pardon the pun. For you,
what is it?
Spain is having a housing crisis. Are you familiar with that? Are you aware of that?
No.
So this is from The Guardian and from BBC. Okay, so there is an influx of domestic and foreign investors who are coming into Spain and buying up whole entire blocks of residential buildings. And then they're kicking the people out. And people don't have anywhere to go. So what's happening is, this reminds me of a documentary that Michael Moore made in the late 80s called Roger and Me. Does that ring a bell? It's how he got well known. So he's from Michigan, and GM had a bunch of plants in Flint, Michigan, and they laid off with no warning 30,000 workers. It just devastated the city of Flint. And the documentary that he made, they go and they talk to people. It's like 2 days before Christmas, and the repo people have come in and they're taking all their personal belongings and putting them on the sidewalk in the snow. A couple days before Christmas, your Christmas tree outside on the sidewalk, because you're being foreclosed because this big company, fired 30,000 people. And Roger Smith was the CEO of the company who made the decision. That's Roger and Me. Anyway, same thing is happening in Spain right now. People have been fighting back, though, and it's really interesting. They started with the media. They started taking photographs of the brutality of what's going on. People are being strong-armed out of their houses, and their properties being thrown out of windows. And I mean, it's bad. It's grim. Then people started contacting unions and hoping to get some support in that direction. They hired lawyers, they did protests, as I said, they've gone to the media, they've organized, had meetings. But now they're doing something really interesting. They're doing something that's being called protest art. So they're taking their furniture that's been thrown out the windows or whatever, and they're creating rooms outside, and they're living outside. So they're sitting knitting, they're reading the paper, they're having coffee, they're living their lives on the sidewalk to draw attention to the fact that they have nowhere to go and have been kicked out of their homes. So it's like political theater, right? But it's also celebrating community, because they're showing, look, we know our neighbors, we're all friends, and we all get together and everything. So my question, you're going to hate this question. Capitalism, yes or no? This is terrible. We're always prioritizing profit over people.
Why? So the people is that like the GM plant people in Spain have been laid off?
No, these foreign and domestic investors, these big investment companies, have come into areas in Spain and bought entire blocks of residential buildings. They're either going to tear them down and build something new, or they're going to renovate them and charge way more money. And they've kicked out all the residents. They have nowhere to go.
How can they kick out the residents?
If you're a landlord and you sell the house that you're renting, the new owner may decide they want to live there and they kick you out. They don't need an excuse.
We
They're
would need
new
to look,
owners.
because I assume Spain has laws in terms of conditions.
Mhm. I
And
don't know.
it feels a bit strange to me. I have to say, it feels a bit strange to me that it's just that. I would have agreed that more of a situation where there's a, because that has been the case here, where there's been a lot of foreign investment, lots of foreign investment. And as a result, the whole market goes up and rents go up, and people can't afford to live because the rent has gone up, but their wage has not. That is a whole different
And I'm sure that's a
situation.
factor too. But these
Okay.
people have been pushed out, and that's where they got the
Okay.
idea, their personal belongings put out on the street. And somebody smart said we might as well be living here on the street, and they decided to draw attention to the circumstance by creating rooms on the sidewalk. And then yeah.
Well, my view is that there should be. I'm not against capitalism. However, I feel like we should. Capitalism is not a perfect system by far. Lots of problems come out of capitalism, which is built of value creation and then also income inequality. Those are serious problems. But there should be a whole safety net of programs and values that are there to protect the people from the imperfections of capitalism.
Well, it's predicated on profit, and I'm afraid greed drives certain people.
So, for example, people like, their safeguards that people can't be kicked out. They're safeguards so that if people lose their job, they have 6 month, 1 year coverage. There's people have health insurance, that housing is a right, like in a number of countries here in Europe. It's in the Constitution. Having your roof over your shoulder is in the Constitution as a right.
Yeah.
So you can sue your own government for not having a home.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think we don't prioritize the welfare of human beings. We prioritize profit.
I can personally, that's just my personal opinion, I can still see that going in conjunction with capitalism, but capitalism without safety nets, it's not working. We need all the safety nets.
I'm a little more skeptical than you are that it would, even if they put safety nets, controls, boundaries on capitalism to protect people, in the next generation they'd vote it all away. I think greed takes over.
Oh,
everything.
you have to. Well, what I've seen in countries where there's a form of socialism,
social democracy, right?
Social, yes, and social democracy, where you constantly have to fight to keep them. That is a given.
Yeah.
That is a given. They're always gonna try to inch. For example, Labor Day in most countries, not in the US, is May 1st.
Right.
And well, this is an example where, okay, this is to celebrate workers, people who work every day. So this is a bank holiday. But for example, corporations will say, well, could we make an exception for this group, for this group, for this group, and for this group? And then they say, well, that kind of makes sense. Like a bakery could be open because, well, then they start to say, well, do we really due May 1st. And then, so you cannot give up all your rights because they're going to try to
Yeah.
eat them up little by little.
Yeah.
So you have to fight, you know. So same thing with the right of strike. Well, they're going to say, well, yeah, everyone should strike, but under those circumstances, well, you have to be careful. Otherwise, your rights get taken away little by little by little.
Yeah, give them an inch, right? They take a mile.
Well, yeah, they do.
So let's ask this. We're looking for advice. How do we address this problem? How's that sound?
Which problem?
Unfettered capitalism run rampant with no regard for social welfare.
Well, exactly that. It's a tightrope.
What card is that?
The Five of Swords.
Okay, I just can't see. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tightrope. We have to have those safety. That's exactly what I'm saying with safety net, so people don't fall. Strength. We need to give a backbone for people that they don't, and they certainly shouldn't lose their health care because they lose their job. I mean, that's the most ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Well, we're not even talking about healthcare today because it's ridiculous. So the Knight of Pentacles. I think there are ways to address the problem with care, taking the time to take into consideration the welfare of people. Like, I have to cover this. The Lovers. Putting the concerns of people in the foreground rather than always prioritizing profit. I think this is like not prioritizing profit. It's in the back of mind as one of the goals, but don't rush into it and emphasize that exclusively. I also got strength. But I think this is a reminder that the strength lies with the people.
Yes.
I have two words, French Revolution. They need to begin to prioritize working for the benefit of people, working together with people. That's really the truth. That's the value here in the situation. Our values are all messed up. They're in the wrong place. I have one more thing. I'm dying to do it. I think we have time to do it. I'll read this really quickly. So this is interesting. This is really interesting. They just found a new monkey species in the Democratic Congo. Did you know that? It's called I can't read this, Likaweli. It's all one word. It was first actually seen in 2008, and it was begun to be investigated by scientists in 2018. Native people knew it was there. It lives in the canopy, but it never comes down, and it was really not interacted with very much. It's only ever been seen by the natives of 8 remote villages. It's really rare. It doesn't have thumbs, which is unusual.
Yes.
They're herbivores. They live in the canopy. And what they do helps germination of seeds. They serve that purpose. They were hunted for meat by the natives who knew about them. So I investigated a little bit. How common is this? Because I've talked about this before. People do not believe that there can even be anywhere in the world where there's a large animal that has never actually been seen. Never been seen has different meanings for different people.
Yes.
A few villages of natives knew about it, but they were the only ones who knew about it. And this is true of a lot of different species. So we've got, in 1997, they discovered the Tapinu, I can't say it, I'm sorry, or orangutan. 1997. You know, and orangutans are no small animals, right?
No.
In 1847, they first identified the lowland gorilla in the 1840s, almost the 1850s, in Liberia. And it had been seen for more than 2,500 years by the natives. But white people had no idea, right? The mountain gorilla was not identified until 1902. The gorilla. So all those people that went on expeditions or safaris, they never saw a dead body, they never saw the bones, they had no idea, right? Bonobos, I hope I said that right, weren't discovered until 1928. And bodies are never found. People will argue, how is that possible? Surely they die and they'll stumble upon the body. Well, they investigated that. Scientists investigated it. And what they found out is that wildlife in general, when it gets sick, it hides.
Yeah.
Because it's vulnerable. So there's that factor. But let's say they drop dead of a heart attack on the trail, okay? In only a couple of hours, predators, insects, they'll carry every ounce of a body away. So you don't go hiking in Yellowstone and stumble on the body of a dead bear. You just don't, because nature takes care of it. Very rapidly, no traces left. So wait till you hear this: 14 to 15% of land mammals have even been discovered. Now, there's lots of little ones, right? 86% remain unknown to Western culture. So, my question is, why not Sasquatch? So, there's a guy who was a professor at the University of Idaho. I'm going to say it wrong. I want to say Dr. Jeff Medlin, and I'm sure I said it wrong. Similar to that, he recently died. I went hunting for him. I was going to have him come talk to me, He wrote a book, which I also can't show you because I gave it to my granddaughter, all about what he learned about Bigfoot. And people laugh. This topic is just really the focus of derision. And a lot of really well-educated scientific people will say, oh, give me a break. Well, this guy had the same attitude 30, 40 years ago. And somebody came to him and said, I want to show you something. Now, his specialty was bipedal locomotion. He was all the way specified to being able to know everything in the world about animals walking on two legs. He could look at footprints. He could tell you how tall the animal was, how much they weighed, how fast they were going, whether they had joints that weren't healthy. I mean, this guy, it's remarkable, right? So somebody came to him and said, I want to show you something, and showed him a plaster cast of a footprint. And his attitude was, is it April Fool's Day? He wanted no part of it. And they begged him, please just try to keep an open mind and come see this. So he went down the rabbit hole. He went out and he saw it, and he was astounded, didn't know what to make of it, started hearing stories, and this snowballed so that he became the go-to person in the science field. And his eventual conclusion was, there are large mammals all over the world. They're somewhat similar, but not necessarily related to each other directly, because you hear about Yeti and you hear about Sasquatch. And then you hear about, in the Appalachians, there's something, I don't know if they call it the Red Devil or something. Just everywhere you go, there are these stories. But if you listen to people who have experienced it, it goes beyond zoology. It goes beyond anthropology. It goes into something somewhat metaphysical. It's very interesting. So the question is it possible that something that big could be unknown, just the way the mountain gorilla was, just the way the lowland gorilla was, just the way the bonobo and the orangutan. These are all big mammals, and people saw them. People see Yeti, people see Sasquatch, but they're not accepted. And
Yeah.
they've collected DNA. Nate, listen to this. They've collected DNA and sent them to, like, the World Health Organization, I think, has a bank of all the DNA that's ever been collected. So every mammal that's ever been identified, and they said, okay, this is a mammal. This is a mammal very closely related to humans. And we don't know what it is.
No.
I know, I love it. Okay, so what'd you get?
Well, the Eight of Swords, that talks about the desert, a species that went away. So that would say that potentially, yes, there could be. And then I got the King of Wands that would talk about humans and the connection with human, and then the Judgment. Maybe there is communication we will receive. Could we try to communicate without seeing?
Well, some of the theories hold true for other species. People will say, well, how come, development extends and people are more in more places? But they have proven that there are animals that have changed environment as people spread out, so that they used to be down below. Now they're up at the top of mountains. Over time, they learned to avoid people. And there are animals who used to be diurnal. They were awake in the daytime and slept at night.
That's right.
And in order to avoid humans, they became nocturnal. I just think it's interesting. It's an interesting intellectual puzzle. And it's too easy to dismiss it when you want to dismiss things that could be considered evidence because you can't explain it.
That's true.
Bad science. So I got the Five of Swords, which is really advice. The advice is take a minute and look at what you have. Look at the evidence that might or might not be real evidence around you. Then I got the Four of Swords, and I think that evidence is indication, like we were talking about, withdrawing from proximity to human beings, right? And then I got Justice, which to me says someday the truth, the people who have defended this idea for a long time, the truth is going to come out and they will feel vindicated. I think there's more to this story, than I think it's overblown, yes, but I do think that there's more to this story, that it is entirely possible for a large animal to go unidentified for a very long time. It's interesting. Very interesting. I recommend a really good podcast. It's called The Sasquatch Chronicles. And this really non-judgmental, very nice host just takes phone calls. People call in and say, well, let me tell you my story. And I've listened to it for years. I've gotten my grandchildren addicted. It's so cute. People call in and they say, my family has had a home on 100 acres in the middle of the Blue Mountains for 5 generations. And let me tell you what we've experienced. And there's endless stories like that. Unbelievable stories. It's freakish. So, have you ever seen Bigfoot?
No.
Yeah, me neither. But I don't go outside. Safer. All right. I think that's it. That was fun.
Thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you for arguing with me and keeping me intellectually honest. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back. Slán go fóill. Slán.
Thanks.